All righty. Welcome to our 2024 new perennial introductions. And we are going to be talking today with Darren Barshaw of Darwin Perennials. He's going to show us the new varieties for the year, and we will have a segment at the end for questions and answers. Feel free at any time to put your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll address them before the webinar is over. I am Mary Jo Bargy, and I am the account development representative for the Great Lakes in the Northeast region. And I'm going to pass it along to my teammates to introduce themselves as well. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am in the Southeast Southwest. So if you are anywhere between Delaware to Oklahoma and Texas, that is me.
Morning, I'm Dawn Weimers, and I am the ADR for the Midwest. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I am Tasia Amaviska, and I am the ADR for the Pacific region. So I work with everyone on the West Coast.
And I'm Dave Dowling, and I work with cut flower growers all across the country. And now we'll have Darren Bradshaw give a presentation on Darwin Perennials.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the country. I'm Darren Barshaw with Darwin Perennials. I am a product rep, and what my job is to work with the ADR team and our sales teams that are out on the road, and kind of, I guess I look at myself as a coach to help them bring the best perennials to our customers, whether it's from Darwin Perennials or Walter's Gardens or any other breeder company that is out there in North America, and making sure they're using the right supplier that fits your needs, and teach them how to grow the perennial, finish it off. And then we have another product rep. His name is Chris Feifel. He is more on the propagation side. He works a lot with our rooting stations or the liner providers that you're buying from to help them make sure they're propagating the liners properly, whether they're from an unrooted cutting, from seed, or from tissue culture. So Darwin is a breeding company. We are the perennial entity, I guess, you can look at it under ball seed. So we bring new perennials to market every year. So what I'm going to show you this year is going to be our 2024 introductions. So these will hit the market spring of 2024. And I also have some slides showing some highlights from the last couple of years, because we always talk about new plants and we forget about what we just talked about last year or the year before. And we just keep spinning down and introducing new plants. So I don't want to miss talking about some new highlights and some really new great plants that you all should have in your program. So I'm going to start the slides here. If I can. Okay. There we go. So the Silver Collection is a collection of perennials that we put together for either sun or shade that just have that really nice silver foliage that pop in the landscape, and they make just everything else in that landscape shout out. So this year we're introducing Centaria Silver Swirl. This has probably been one of the most talked about plants since we introduced it this past spring at Cast out in California. It's a zone 6 perennial. So for most of you, it should work as a perennial in your landscape, and you could use this as a mass landscape planting, a front of the border planting, a combination planter, or even I have many customers that are going to use this as an annual in a 4-inch pot as a component for a mixed container, or to sell it as a straight container as well. But really, I look at it, it's like a Dusty Miller on steroids is how I want to look at it. It just keeps kind of expanding, bird nesting out, really thick, heavy foliage. We have this in trials in Mobile, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, down in Miami, all the way to the north. So it works everywhere. It takes the heat and humidity. It takes drought once established. The only thing it does not like is wet feed. So if you have a wet area or a wet grower, you got to be watching. This is going to be one of your crops you want to put with like a sedum, something that does not take a lot of water, but it just keeps expanding. It will get, I want to say, a foot tall and probably a little, we're saying 11 to 14, but I'm going to say it's probably going to get 16 to 18 wide in a season. It will flower, And we're still trying to figure out when and how it flowers. We thought it needed a vernalization or a cold period to flower, but I'm actually have some customers out in California that have it. It wasn't a vernalized sample they got. They have it on their sunny porch and it's been blooming. And the blooms are kind of a nice, bright yellow ball, like a globe, almost like a dandelion, but they hold up a lot better than a dandelion does. And they come out above the foliage and you'll get 12 to 16 blooms on it, but you can always cut those off after they're done blooming or leave them on there. But it really is all about the foliage. That's what we're promoting. That's what really stands out, but this one makes everything pop. So Centaria Silver Swirl, we'll have good numbers at all of our suppliers and many different sizes. So work with your ADR rep to place your orders, and we have good supply, but I still wouldn't wait to get your orders in. So Centaria Silver Swirl, and then another one in the silver collection would be Salvia Silver Scent. This is a ornamental edible. The nice thing about this one is that it blooms under short days. Most salvia needs a long day lengths or longer days to come into bloom. This will bloom early in the spring. Put this in your traditional herb program if you want to, or use it as a combination pot, as a centerpiece. Like I said, it's an ornamental edible. Another one that helps the foliage, that really helps make everything else pop. So silver scent. And then Stacky's Little Lamb. You're probably all familiar with lamb's ear, Helen von Stein, or big ears, which gets really big fuzzy leaves. This has only got, I want to say 1 to 2 inch size leaves. Still the same fuzzy content as your bigger lamb's ear. This one is just a short, 2 to 3 inches tall, 15 inches around after a couple of years. This is one that will not take over your garden like a traditional lamb's ear will. So it's more contained, great ground cover, great component plant. It will take many conditions. After a cold period, it gets a nice pink flower on it that's held probably 3 to 4 inches above the foliage. And when the flowers are done, you can easily go back in. Almost, it's short enough to go over it with a lawnmower and cut it right back again. And then you got that nice silver foliage throughout the whole season. So Stacky's Little Lamb. And then Bernera Frostbite. This is one we introduced in 2023. We have 2 more that we're going to introduce hopefully in 2025. These are from tissue culture, so we've had a little bit of difficulty getting them to market. So we have Frostbite, and I just wanted to mention this one again. This is a silver foliage Bernera. This one is great for the shade, and it's a good for combos as well. It needs, if it's in the shade, it needs to have some moisture in the shade. If it's dry shade, it's gonna not flourish as well as you want to. This is one I like to, you're growing it into a gallon. I like to put this one as get a fresh liner that has not been vernalized and plant it. So what you'll get, instead of it wanting just to go to flower, you're going to get this plant that's going to want to grow. The leaves are going to expand and get large like you want them to be. And to me, it's really all about the foliage. The blue flowers, which are like a forget-me-not blue, are really nice attribute as well, but it's really all about the foliage. And this one seems to hold up better late summer. There's some varieties that have been in the marketplace for quite a few years that seem to burn out, get a little bit, I want to think it's anthracnose, where the leaves just start drying right up and shriveling. This one doesn't seem to do that as much, or it's more tolerant of it. So Bernera Frostbite, like I said, there'll be 2 more larger leaf varieties coming out down the pipeline. And then Amaria, Dream Area, Vivid Dreams is a new color in our Dream Area series. So it's a nice deep purple. And with the Amaria, we have 6 colors in this Dream Area series. And this is unlike a seed variety Amaria, where it's only going to bloom in the spring when it's cool. And by middle of May, you're usually done. This one will bloom really big flush in the spring through probably mid-June, depending on where you're at in the country. And then it will sporadically bloom throughout the summer. And again, as it starts cooling down a little bit, it will bloom again. And the flower heads on these are, probably the size of, what's a good reference point? They're good size. They're not as big as a ping pong ball. We have some more coming up some more breeding coming down the pipeline, which will be much larger. But these the flowers will last about 6 weeks. They dry really well if you want to dry them. You could use them as a cup flower. They're a little bit short, but it still would work. But you could see in that container, on the right hand side, all the buds that are pushing up through it. So it's just a great plant, semi-evergreen, deer resistant, all those good things that we like. So this is our Dreameria Vivid Dreams. There's 6 colors in the series now. And then Caryoptera, Emerald Crest. This is one of those, it's in kind of a category like the budlag. In some areas it'll be root hardy, in some areas it'll be hardy. The plant will be hardy all the way through the wood, and you'll get flowers off of all the old growth. But this is great. Typically it's a fall bloomer or summer bloomer, but in the South, we've seen this, it'll bloom under short days early, and it will bloom again later in the season as the days get shorter again. But it's a great pollinator plant for late season. And we have one we introduced a few years back called Gold Crest. Same habit as Gold Crest. The gold has really nice foliage with this blue flower on it. And like I said, it's a butterfly magnet, a bee magnet. It's a great pollinator, and it gives you that blue color late in the season that you don't normally see. And then echinaceas, I think this is probably our best introduction in the last few years. We have Echinacea sombreros, which I'll mention again later in the presentation. And we went back to our breeder who breeds all of our echinaceas. Her name is Ping Ren. And we asked her, can we please redo our echinacea double scoop? So this picture shows on the left-hand side, or my left-hand side, is double scoop, the old, I want to say old technology or old breeding. You'd get one single stem, a few flowers, it kind of is floppy. It lives in the garden, but it doesn't really perform that great. The one on the right is Echinacea Double Scoop Deluxe. So we have 4 colors in the new Double Scoop Deluxe series that are basically, if you're growing sombrero now, it's a sombrero with habit with double flowers. And you'll get the first flower will be kind of a single, then it'll transition to a semi-double, then it will go to a full pom-pom. The flowers last extremely long time. I want to say each flower probably lasts at least 6 weeks, and it does not brown out or get really ugly on the plant. It kind of is self-cleaning. So here's a slide of the 4 colors. So that's an overwintered shot in the ground there of watermelon, double scoop watermelon deluxe. And you can see how floriferous it is. It's got that nice dark eye as it first opens, and then it will slowly transition out to that fully double flower. So you have watermelon, strawberry, orangeberry, and raspberry. We still have 3 colors in the double scoop, the regular double scoops that are in the catalog that we haven't rebred to this size yet. So you'll see the 4 double scoop deluxes, and there's 3 other colors in the double scoops, just the regular double scoops. But these are just outstanding plants. We had a display at Cultivate of about probably 200 echinaceas in a cake style setting, like a tiered cake. And I think it was a showstopper for everybody that saw it. They couldn't believe that this plant was real. So the good thing about it too, no pinch, no PGR. These are first year flowering plants. So you plant it in the spring, say March, you're going to have these in bloom for middle of June. If you have the ability to light, and it's to put some extended day link lighting, you can get these in bloom for Mother's Day. And that's what a lot of customers are missing. All you need to do is have incandescent light bulbs on a string of lights with extension cord and a timer, and it make your days all you need to do is 4 hours longer than normal. So 14 to 16 hour days is what you need for about 5 to 6 weeks, and these will come into bloom for you for Mother's Day or Memorial Day. And we can help you with all the timing on that we have a first year flowering tool that will help you program all of your plants so that they bloom when you want them to bloom. So Double Scoop Deluxe, this is a fantastic new line. This one, I would encourage you to get your orders in early. They're selling fast. This is an item that is from tissue culture, so it takes us a little bit longer to ramp numbers up on those, but they're moving fast. So get with your ADRs and get these ordered quickly. Okay, lavenders. This is a lavender Anouk is a Spanish lavender. So in most areas, or it's its own 6, its own 9 hardy lavender. Most areas it's used as a decorative container. It does work in a landscape as well. But the Anouk refresh here, we have 2 new colors, Purple Medley on the left and Twilight on the right. They're improvements over Anouk, which has been out for about 20 years. They have bigger flowers, better habit and they need less cooling in the fall when you plant these. Typically, a Spanish lavender is planted late in the fall. It needs 6 or so weeks of 45 degrees or less, and then you can grow them on like you normally would a Spanish lavender, and they'll come into bloom. So this is just a refresh on the Anuk series, which is making these. It's a much better plant, much better colors. So this is lavender Anuk, and it would be purple medley and twilight. And Helianthus summer eclipse. This is one of my favorite new plants as well. This is a compact Helianthus that branches really well. That has been the problem with Helianthus over the years. You usually get a really tall plant with a few breaks, and they flop over. Flowers were fantastic, but the habit was horrible. So went back to the drawing board on this and made a nice compact. It's still 24 to 30 inches tall at maturity, but it's got dark foliage, really kind of a dark red stems. The flowers are orange yellow with almost a little bit of tinge of red to the center, and they're semi-double. And again, this is a great pollinator. Mine's blooming in my garden right now. It looks fantastic. Bees are all over it. It's a great late summer plant for your fall program. So this is Summer Eclipse. And then Penstemon Rock Candy. This is a series that we've had out for many years. Purple is a new color. So now we'll have 5 colors in the Penstemon Rock Candy series. This is, again, first year flowering, which means you don't have to overwinter it. You can plant it in spring. It will branch and flower. The plant on the far right side is a 12-week-old plant planted outside and grown in West Chicago in our trials. 1 pinch. And so it's just an addition to the series. The purple's a great color. These are nice, compact, front of the border, free flowering penstemons. Again, a great pollinator plant as well. And then Veronica Moody Blues is a series of Veronica that we've had out for probably 5 years. We went back to the breeder and asked if we could improve the habit on dark blue. As you can see in the picture, dark blue on the right-hand side, that was kind of the old habit. The new habit now is to the left, more balanced and matching the rest of the colors. There's 6 colors in there. So this is a great 12 to 14 inch Veronica. We do have another series called the Skyward series, which is a little bit larger, 2 colors in that as well. So if you want a larger variety, we have that, or a larger series, we have that. If you want a Moody Blues, a little bit smaller series, we have that. Great disease resistance. Again, first year flowering, 1 pinch in the spring. These are super hardy to zone 4, very free flowering. These bloom a little bit after your salvias, so you can keep kind of color going out throughout the whole season. So this is Veronica Moody Blues, dark blue improved, kind of a mouthful. And then that was a new for 2024. So I just wanted to touch on some of the highlights of the last couple of years that, like I had mentioned earlier, we introduced so many new plants, and you get inundated with new plants from all over the place. We want to make sure we're not forgetting, and you're not forgetting of the new plants that we added last year, the year before that are still wonderful. So the Achillea Millirock series, we feel is the best Achillea series on the market. Nice front of the border, 10 to 12 inches tall, 12 to 14 inch spread at maturity. Does not take over the garden like a traditional yarrow will. So new color last year was the Millirock Yellow Terracotta. And so you get the mixes of oranges and reds in with that yellow. So we have a red, we have a rose, the yellow, and now the yellow terracotta. And these are ones that you could plant these every 4 weeks or every 3 weeks, and you can have these blooming from spring all the way through fall. It's a wonderful plant, very little care. Plants stand up under rain or wind. Like I said, they're not going to flop over. Very disease resistant. So Achillea Millirock series is a great series for you to add to your program. And then we introduced a new Buddleia series in 2022. And this is the Buddleia Chrysalis series. And I'm showing you cranberry here. There's 5 colors. And what we were looking at when we introduced this was bringing the Buddleia back to the perennial market, back to the perennial grower, because these are only 18 to 24 inches tall. In the north here, I live in Michigan. So if you're going to be to the south, you might be in that 30-inch tall range at maturity, but free flowering, smaller flowers, but free flowering, very disease resistance, upright, well branching. And as you know, butterflies are magnets, butterfly bushes are magnets for pollinators. So chrysalis cranberry and the chrysalis cereus is fantastic, great for 1 gallons or 1.5 at the largest pot size. And then Coreopsis Uptick Red. This is a new color to the Uptick series, which the Coreopsis Uptick series has been out for, I think, 5 years. With the red, it has the yellow edge, and normally a red Coreopsis with a yellow edge, the heat of the summer, it's going to go almost all yellow. This one keeps its red color, mostly red color throughout the whole year, even into the heat. And this is a great lineup, the Coreopsis Uptick series. There's 6 colors in that. First year flowering. It's a great front of the border, mid border, cookie cutter, really easy to grow. I call this one of those no-brainer crops. You might need a pinch early on in the liner stage, but typically a liner coming in is probably already been pinched by the supplier that you're buying them from. After that, it's super easy to grow and very uniform. I believe there's 6 colors in there. So this is Uptick Red. And then Delspermum Ocean Sunset series, we introduced this again in 2022, and this is selling like hotcakes. It's the common name for Delspermum is ice plant. So if you're out west, you see a lot of ice plants in the landscape that are native, and their flowers are almost as big as like a coffee cup plate. So pretty large. And these are the largest flowering Delspermum on the market that are in the ornamental market. So you got Ocean Sunset, 4 colors, a couple more colors coming out in the next couple of years, but these are love the heat, love the dry soils. The humidity they do quite well in as well, but really these need to be in a well-drained soil. They'll spread out like a ground cover, and the flowers glow in the sun. They're just an outstanding plant. And like I said, they are selling like hotcakes. I mentioned the Caryoptera Emerald Crest earlier. Here's its sister called Gold Crest. You can see that gold foliage holds up really well in the sun, and it has that nice blue flower again late in the fall or early spring. So Gold Crest has been doing very well in the marketplace. And then Delphinium Redlark, we introduced this last year, and this was our top introduction from 2023. It's a color breakthrough. It's going to be that coral red. The higher the light levels you get, the more red this flower will be. Under low light conditions, you're going to be kind of a pinky coral. This is one plant that all you need is one plant, and I would recommend a 50 or a 32. You could even do a 72 into a 2-gallon pot. You don't want to put this into a 1-gallon. It's really too small. The 1-gallon size is too small. One thing, you're not going to be able to keep it watered once it's rooted out, and it's going to want to fall over on you. So these are shown in 1.5 gallons here. You could do a soft pinch early on, and you'll get some more lateral branching. Otherwise, it's pretty well self-branching. This one is from tissue culture. It's going to be a little bit on the pricey side, but for what we're seeing at retail, growers are commanding a high price, and they're selling every plant that they have. So Delphinium Redlark, hopefully down the pipeline will come up with some more unique colors, but right now the Redlark is stealing the show, I believe, in the Delphinium market. Digitalis Arctic Fox Rose. This is another no-brainer that can work north, south, east, or west. It's a great rosy color. You can see all the branching on that. That was a spring plant. I think this is about mid-June, and you can see the branching on it, the flower power, 1 plant in 1.5 gallons. So that's Arctic Fox Rose. Here's another shot of it here. This one in the gardens, no vernalization, first year flowering. And here's some of the winter hardiness, showing you some of the beds that have come back over the years. And then this next year, I'll give you a teaser for 2025. We're going to have a yellow. It's going to be Arctic Fox Yellow. So we'll have a sister to go along with this Digitalis Arctic Fox Rose. Just fantastic. Digitalis or Foxglove is the common name. Echinacea Sombrero series, I mentioned that earlier. This we feel is the best Echinacea series on the marketplace. Consistency throughout all 12 colors. More colors coming down the pipeline. Great habit. No pinch, no PGR. Hardy to zone 4. These things are rock stars in the gardens or even in containers. You can't go wrong with this plant. It's easy, great colors, like I said, and more to come. So that's the Sombrero series of Echinacea. And then the Fulvia Glow Stick. This is our first attempt at Red Hot Poker is the common name. This one is unique because the input on it is an unrooted cutting. So if you were able to grow unrooted cuttings, you could buy this in as an unrooted cutting, and it's kind of like a little, I want to say a little bib, like a Lily of the Valley would come or something like that. But these are available in liners as well. It's just going to be a less expensive input for you. So really nice, grassy, thin green foliage. This typically blooms, like for me here in the north, it'll bloom about mid-July, but it will bloom once it gets going. It'll bloom. I think mine bloomed out last year till about mid-November. So it's free flowering, really bright flowers. Keep sending them up. Even when it's not in bloom, the grassy foliage is really nice. So this is glow stick, and it does pop in the landscape with that nice bright yellow flower. And then I mentioned Spanish lavender early, the Anouk series. If it was me and I was saying, you guys said, hey, I want to grow one Spanish lavender, what should it be? I would suggest Primavera. And the reason is that it does not need any cold period at all. You can grow this spring, summer, and fall. It'll bloom throughout the whole season. Very heat tolerant, very humidity tolerant. Large purple flowers with a really dark purple flag. It's just a phenomenal plant. We are selling, this is probably one of the highest selling plants that we sell from Darwin Perennials. So Lavender Primavera, I believe this was introduced 4 years ago. So if you want a Spanish lavender, this is the one to go with, Primavera. It's a no-brainer. And then some Nepeta that I wanted to talk about. This is the Whisper series, which is going to be a little bit bigger than Walker's Low, but holds its habit up really well, has larger flowers. So this is Nepeta Whisper. Pink is on the left, blue is on the right. You can see it compared to Walker's Low here. The Whisper Blue is on the left, the Whisper Pink is in the middle, and Walker's Low is slowly starting to open up and flop open like it does. But a great landscape plant, or a little bigger Nepeta that you need in the landscape. And you can see another, 2 weeks later, how they're still holding up. The flower heads are much taller, and then Walker's Low is kind of falling off to the side. So it's a great series. See how large the flowers are. Super hardy, 8 to 10 inch long flowers. And then Pelarmonium Golden Feathers. We introduced this last year, and it was a hit as well. So golden variegated Pelarmonium or Jacob's Ladder. I have on here for the shade, but we have seen this actually perform better in the sun, get larger, really show up more variegated colors. You get a little bit of pink tones in there, some yellow and green. It's really stable compared to the other variegated Pelarmonium out on the market. This one does get a blue flower, traditional blue, Jacob's Ladder flower, probably about half the size of a dime. So pretty large, great for combination plants, great for mass planting, super hardy. This one's going to be a TC raised liner too. So it'll be a little bit on the pricey side, but it's worth it. You can command more money at retail. Everything we've been able to sell of this, and then talking to growers, everything they grow flies off the shelves. So great addition to your program. It really does pop. So Pelarmonium Golden Feathers. And then Better Versions is a new concept, marketing concept that we introduced at Cultivate. So what we're doing here is trying to make sure you're growing the best varieties you can in the landscape or for your retail garden center customer. And the three plants for the first class are going to be Salvia Blue Bayou, which is replacing Maynite. So we got the old version, which everybody's familiar with, Maynite, which has been around forever. At the time it was introduced, it was fantastic, but as breeding gets better and better, we've come up with a great replacement. This is the better version called Salvia Blue Bayou. So it's an All-American selection winner. So it's an AAS winner, which means it's proven in the garden and in containers across all of North America. It blooms about 2 weeks earlier than Salvia Maynite, holds its habit, doesn't lodge open. We've had it reflush 5 times with a little bit of a cutback, and even without one, it'll continue to bloom. So Salvia Blue Bayou, right next to it is May Night. See, it's earlier to bloom. It's almost in full color there in this photo. This was at the gardens in West Chicago. And here's another marketing shot here for this. That was a top performer at Colorado State at 2021, and it just keeps going. So this is really our push, is to take May Night out of the marketplace, replace it with Blue Bayou. Your input cost it should be less than May Night because it's easier for us to produce. It's just more uniform and it's consistent production for us, where May Night can kind of be a nightmare. Here's another shot of Salvia Blue Bayou here. Another shot I just mentioned. So now you got there's a variety called April Night, then you have May Night and Blue Bayou. Of course, April Night was supposed to be earlier than May Night earlier than everything else. So as you can see, Blue Bayou is the earliest, best, has the best habit, holds up. So Salvia Blue Bayou is one of our better versions, taken away from May Night. And then Pravaskia Crazy Blue. So this is your Russian sage. This plant here is 3 years old. And this is in our breeding grounds in West Grove, Pennsylvania. And you can see how well that holds up. It's got great flower power, really nice foliage. It kind of almost intertwines with the stem, so it keeps it from falling open. It's a top performer again at Colorado State. And this is in our better versions as well. So here we are. There's a 3-year-old plant at Rakers at their trial gardens. And then there's a 3-year-old plant there at Colorado State with Chris Feifel, our other product rep, standing next to him. It's about waist high, very consistent. So this one is a much improvement over your species, the Pravaskia atripifolia. So this one's Crazy Blue. And that is the end. Do you have any questions, comments? Anybody there?
Doesn't look like anything came up in the chat or the
Okay.
question and answer session.
Okay.
Lots of great new products. And I think especially the better varieties are something.
better versions,
The
yes.
better versions, people should be growing those instead.
Exactly.
No question.
Yep. And we do have a PDF showing the whole program of the 3 plants that are in the free 3 plants that are in the first class of better versions. So we can get that out to everyone, and then you can pass it on to your customers as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Darren. And if any questions do come up, please reach out to your sales rep or your account development representative, and we will consult with Darwin Perennials and find the best solution for you.
Okay.
And there will be a recording of this, and we will share it so you can review it later if you wish.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren.
Have a great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care.